All right, folks, welcome back to the Fabula Vault. I'm trying an interesting day of streaming. It is a Tuesday evening. I have been primarily streaming on Saturday evenings when it's a little laid back and not much is really asked of me, but I really wanted to jump back into Chrono Trigger and give things a go and talk a little Fabula Ultima if that comes into play. So I'm going to get started here, and if anyone hops in, that'll be great. Sure my game's ready to play. Hopefully my audio is good. All right. Oh, my controller decided it wanted to go to sleep. All right. So I did just recap earlier in my description, but in our game last session on part 2, we made it pretty much through a trial where I was gaslighted into oblivion for playing the way every other Squaresoft game conditioned me to play in Final Fantasies. And I felt like no matter how I looked at it, I was not going to win that trial. That being said, it was still fun to play it for the first time. Hey, how's it going, man? Good old G Helmet FB. How are you? I was just talking about how the trial screwed me over in this game. And recapping that eventually we went into the distant future to only discover from the distant past the revelation of an ending of the world from an entity named Lavos. And we are now going through different domes in this world and trying to figure out how to get back. How are things going for you today, G Helmet? Hopefully my audio is good. I also can't remember where I left off here. We're always just out of the way. There's a lot to learn yet. You're only grazing everything the game has to offer. Well, I do want to underline that all of my commentary on that was in good heart and good speaking. I've really enjoyed this game so far. I think it was funny. I was actually talking to one of my friends who is a huge Chrono Trigger fan, and she was telling me about how she was watching and shaking her head in everything that happened to the trial. And I was like, that trial sets you up to fail because they are developers from Squaresoft. They 100% know you're going to go touch that food that the old man left behind because you go through every single room in every Final Fantasy game and you try to pick stuff up, you try to touch it. It all started from there. I'm kind of tired, lots of jump. I'll be watching your stream while tweaking my last monsters and then work on items. Hey, no worries, man. You do you. Feel free to chime in at any point, and if you have any comments on anything, let me know. How close are you getting to your Fabula Ultima game? Even if you do a perfect trial run, they screw you. Well, so be it. Okay, if I remember correctly, I didn't. Yeah, I thought that was a save spot. Now, I noticed, like I said, I didn't actually really ask you because, or at least to my recollection, a lot of the sprites and stuff you were working on Project FU for Foundry playing Fabula Ultima, it's all Final Fantasy IV stuff. Are you doing a Final Fantasy IV themed? I mean, I would assume that's the route you were going. Open my drink here before we get too inundated on this. I think that's when I'll have items done. I'll work some pre-made locations. Nice. I already did the commentary on this, but we'll go ahead and recap this since it was... Looks like you just have to press switch, and the bridge will extend across, ribbit. Totally different voices this time. So, switch on it. Ready already, Ribbit. Ribbit! Can't reach it, Ribbit. And you call yourself a frog, Ribbit? Someone's coming. Let's scram, Ribbit. That's my route. Yeah, I still want to make it cool co-op world building, but I'll tell my players that I might use some FF4 events and overlays into the story. Hey, as long as they're fine with that. Are the people playing familiar with Final Fantasy IV? I could have sworn... Interesting. I already did this and then saved, I thought. Interesting. Okay. Whatever. Oh, you have no players yet. Hey, at least you'll have it somewhat ready then. Look out. There's 3 of them, and they're almost here. Waltzing around through the sewers like they own the place, eh? Won't have a death wish. We'll teach him a little respect. Yes, we will. Just let them come through here. They'll be chopped liver, pulverized. Won't even know what to call them when we're done. I tend to over prep. That session, last session I GM'd, I made a small campaign book with it. Well, the best thing I can say on that, I mean, I'm never going to tell anyone how to run it, but I exactly run my Fabula Ultima games the way I do because I got sick of doing that. I hate over prepping, and this game does not condition you well for prepping over prepping. Like, if you play it as it's supposed to play, it almost conditions you not to over prep because like 80% of the stuff you plan is going to go out the window. Oh man, I forgot to. Oh, and I forgot about that too. Yeah, I figured that's why I'm working on monsters, items, and all. Yeah, that's definitely the one thing I have voiced the most in my GM insight is to gain advantage of learning to lose a bit of control in your games. I mean, obviously, put the effort in making your monsters and stuff, have that at the ready. But as far as the narrative, I mean, it's not worth the time spending so much time into it. Things that'll help you be ready on the fly. Yeah, absolutely. But there's one thing I think that could benefit from that is you having things at the ready. But even then, though, there's certain times where people will bring in NPCs with Fabula points that you just didn't have anything ready for, and just roll with it. I wouldn't say they probably very often will bring in monsters. Then again, I don't know if you count monsters, but one of my friends did bring chocobos into our world. So I made a nice little chocobo forest for them to travel to one day if they chose to. He also put Dinosaur Island from Final Fantasy VI. Well, they kept talking about it, and I put it in. Did I die and just not realize it? Like, I remember doing all of this the last session right before the end. Interesting. I think I wanted that Thunderblade originally. That's why I came down here, because I had to come all the way around. And then this is a total setup. Fish people. I just recently actually, I don't think I brought this up. I played a small game on Friday when I wasn't sure how much juice I had in the tank from playing or recovering from surgery. We talked about quirks and just introduced the quirks for all of our players. And I immediately brought one in with one of my characters who's playing Cassandra from the press start module. And the quirks are going to be fun. They're going to be crazy, but they're going to be fun. I have a load of sprites at the ready. I put FF1, 4, 5, and 4, 5, and 6 full sprite list. This should give me options to reskin. Absolutely. I don't know if you saw. I've talked about it before. If you are on Project FU's tutorial or on Discord and they have the tutorial thing, Azure LOL did like a whole Foundry kind of like setup walkthrough and then talked a little bit about the philosophy and like how to run the game. But they also showed promotions of the other developers, like their versions of their game on Foundry. And the individual that was on here last time, Erica, they had a really cool little background in their sprites and stuff. I asked what one of the monsters they were using was a sprite from. I think they said Octopath Traveler 2. I think it looked great. If you look at the showcases on that Discord, some of the stuff and the module stuff, Erica does some really cool like animation stuff. Jeez. Okay, where am I? I'm needing to go to RS Dome, I think now. I think originally I went to this little tiny sewer. And then I found the Thunderblade in here. Yeah, it's crazy, the amount of stuff they've done. Like, I don't know how much effort it is to maintain it, but like, I want to say it was Erica that did one where like they had a whole like limit break style attack with a monster like that they showcased. It's pretty cool. Okay, I gotta stop making all this noise hitting the trash. Ouch. Man, none of these are gonna die. There we go. Man, I cannot wait for I wouldn't say my throat completely, but after I had surgery a week ago, they had to shove a tube down and I still feel like the damage it's done from them. Like, I don't know what it was for, but like, I still have like a really dry throat sometimes, and talking extensively while playing has done its number on me. That's a little too much for me. I'm already overwhelmed to get all my skills to work properly with the effects and consumptions. I've shown it to one of my friends, and as I was showcasing him a real battle to let him feel the difference with 5e. I found a lot of original Project FG stuff do not math right. I've got a load of stuff to update, and it's one of my flaws. I can't use broken stuff. That's why, well, to be perfectly honest, that's why I don't do all the bells and whistles and stuff anymore. I used to do that when I was playing 5e and had all the great animations and stuff, and it just became too much. It took away from my joy of actually running the game. Even though, unless there's some really big cool moment things I want to do, I don't really mess with the bells and whistles anymore. The only thing I really use is the theater insert and for narrative points, and and battle transitions module. By the way, how is your health afterwards? Pretty good. I've been at work the last 2 days, so I've been able to maintain. I usually do much more physically intense work, but I'm still ordered by doctor to keep it chill for about 2 weeks, and then I can't lift anything for another, I don't know, 4. That's over 20 pounds. But overall, I'm moving around, able to sit here and shoot shit and play video games, play TTRPGs. I work for a security company. I'd like to say I'm all administration now, but I still do a lot of field work and stuff. But we do like major installs for surveillance, all that fun stuff. Alarm, surveillance, access control. Been doing it for quite a good bit of time. Okay, did I swear I've already been in here. Okay. Okay, no, I 100% went full circle around here like a dummy. Or, no, did I? Remember the cat? Okay, I definitely remember that. There's a diary here. The final entry reads as follows. I'm through. I can't take any more of this. The fishmen attack if I make even the slightest noise. I wish I would have seen this earlier before I hit everything. If I knew these things would be like this, I'd have taken the guillotine any day of the week. Think I'll go out with a good loud scream. See how the soggy freaks like that. Okay, so I'm 100% positive I came from there earlier, but keep moving up. There we go. Oops. I don't want to really waste a shelter either. I can say that I am now doing office work, but the last 18 years I've been doing field work too. Seems that at a point in life you can leverage your experience and get a job to pay better than breaking your back. See, I can see that, and you know, I actually really like working in the field overall. My job's a little unique because I don't really do anything that's like ridiculous, like factory labor or anything that breaks me down or anything. I mean, just age is going to catch up to me eventually, but at the same time, most of the time, the people I get to have as my customers are pretty cool. They're very appreciative, and it makes the work I do pretty feel worthwhile in the end. Just, you know, sometimes the minutia of same day stuff gets a little old, but I think you can pretty much find that in any line of work. Okay, Aerostone, that's what we're needing here. No, what's that? We needed to go through Site 32. I think Aerostone is where I came from. Just double check here. Yeah, okay. I can at least rest and stuff here. In the Enertron. The distribution side, not really. In my line of work, the distribution side is actually not very rewarding. There's a few people I've known have been in the industry for a really long time, and they seem to be well taken care of, but overall distribution, that's a revolving door because they don't ever really take care of that stuff. Yeah, I'd say I'm still hungry. I mean, sales has never been my favorite thing. It's part of my work. I'm naturally good at I would never claim I'm a good salesman. I'm naturally good at being charismatic and listening and talking, which is part of the sales part. But I am not a pressure salesman by any means. Like I am not out to make people indecisive or attack their indecisions to make them decisive like some other people are. And sometimes it's good for the business. That's not me. Oh, but yeah, I forgot about the joke about the Entertron. Still learning. Whoa. Who's freaking... Oh, this is the hot rod. Or wait, he said it was a motorcycle, I thought. Uh-oh. Hold it right there. Oh, why the robots? Bro! Thanks for the intro, boys. Bro! You lowlifes can call me Johnny. I'm the leader of this pack. Now listen up, the ruined highway up ahead is the only road you got. You want to reach the other side? Then you're going to have to ride in a race against time, that is. Wow. So here's the thing about me. I also do voiceover, a lot of work and stuff, so I kind of try to just jump into characters. I don't know why I went with that narrative voice, but it fit immediately with the, then you're going to have to ride like that with that southern type of greaser type of voice. Let me be honest, don't use your boost. Just stay still and just boost at the end of the line. It's a race. I'll let you use that jet bike, because that's the kind of guy I am. Don't sweat it, and don't you dare chicken out, babe. So, do you have shiny axles? Do you shiny axles know how to ride? No. No. All right, listen up and let Johnny tell you how it's done. The gas is on auto, so there's only one speed, fast. To steer, just press up and down directional buttons. Tap B for a turbo boost. I'll give you 3 of them. The B icons show how many you got left. Heads up though. After you use one, you can't use another until you gauge above the icon refills. You can check your position from the finish line on the screen. Now show me what you got, babe. All right. Oh, it's F-Zero, basically. Oh, never mind. Really wants me to ram him. Hey, Michael Meltcalf, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Yeah, man, I used to love St. Patty's Day, and I feel like the last 15 years, I'm just always so disenchanted. The fact that it's on a Tuesday, I wasn't paying attention. I was talking. Crap. I didn't realize the... What a joke. If that's the best you can do, you can walk your way across the ruins. Better watch out for all those monsters, though. Right again if you can think you can handle it, chump. Yeah, I'll do just that. Now I know what I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm like I said, I've been so disenchanted. Like, why St. Patrick's Day on a Tuesday? Like, I mean, I'm too old to enjoy what it used to be, and definitely not getting St. Patty's Day tanked on a Tuesday. Would have helped, but your camera was at the finish line. Nah, don't worry about it. I didn't realize the actual points or whatever if I was looking at the left or the goal at the bottom, so. And to be perfectly honest, I'm on a 10-second delay with you guys, so you wouldn't have seen it coming anyway. Thanks for the heads up. Johnny don't mean no harm. Johnny just wants to win. Got it. I like how like Squaresoft's like, you know what, we're just gonna really rip off F-Zero's design for just a few minutes. You beat me. I don't get it. Well, you can come challenge me anytime and again anytime. We'll ride the wind, baby. And I just wanted to say real quick, Michael, you asked on Saturday if I was trying to recap everything, and I realized after I ended stream, you asked if I was streaming on Saturdays, and I'd already ended the stream, so I didn't have a way to respond. So that's my intent, unless there's another reason. Like I've got an event or something I got to go to, but Saturday's been a pretty good day for me to do that stuff. But I also felt I'd be playing Chrono Trigger for 6 months if I only streamed a couple of 2 to 3 hours on a Saturday. So I'm wanting to definitely get some more going, because while I'm enjoying Chrono Trigger, there's still plenty of other games I'd like to play and see how they relate to Fabula Ultima and talk about people's enjoyment of them. That's mode 7. There ain't a lot of it in Chrono Trigger, if I remember well. I think if everyone wanted to show off their fake 3D-like effects. Yeah. Derelict Factory. Protodome. Protodome is my destination, but hey, let's go into the Derelict Factory first. Actually, let's save. Okay, we got laser, trap, beam, and looks like... Nope, okay. Let me guess. There we go. Hmm? I need to go to Proto first? Alright. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, though, with my group, we started doing, we added quirks into all their characters. One has decided to be that they're going to find out that they were actually a robot designed by their mother. Another is basically, I can't remember the whole entirety of the quirk, but basically they're going to have a like a prophecy is going to happen on their behalf. The other is slowly over time, I think it's called the Underkid or something like that, where they slowly find something that's ancient part of this world is attached to their existence. They basically came to this world with lacking memory prior to that. And then the other one, what is theirs? Oh, man, it's something where they basically have a bunch of commandments and stuff. But the cool thing about quirks is they all get abilities, and some of them come with penalties. But when things come at the end, they end up getting something crazy like a heroic skill. What's this thing? It's in bad it's in bad shape, but it looks like a humanoid robot. Incredible. I think I can fix it. What? Fix it? What if it attacks us like the other ones? I'll make sure it won't. Robots don't attack on their own free will, you know. You've seen that one? The quirks. Yeah, I really wish one of them would have picked Ruinbringer, but it's okay. Maybe another day.
They only do it because humans make them that way. Luca, you really feel for them, don't you? I better get to work. The door won't budge. All right, that should do it. I'm gonna give it some juice. Oop. Good morning.
Good morning, mistress. What is your command?
I'm not your mistress. I'm Marl. This is Chrono. And that's Luca, the one who fixed you.
Understood. Madam Luca restored my circuits.
Just Luca will do.
That manner of address could potentially cause offense. I am incapable of offensive speech.
Well, some of us don't like it when people are so formal all the time. Isn't that right, Marl?
Nah, I'm good with without the real name. Understood, Luca.
All right, so what's your name?
Name? Perhaps you're referring to my serial number. My serial number is R66Y.
R66Y? Cool. Cool? What are you talking about? That won't do it all. Come on, Chrono. Let's give him a better name.
Stick with Robo. It's Prometheus R66Y.
Robo. Yes, Robo, that's perfect. Your new name is Robo, okay?
My name is Robo. Data storage complete.
Hey, Robo. There's something I was hoping you could... ...
What happened here? This dome contained many humans, others like me.
Oh dear. This is kind of hard to say, but I think something awful happened while you were out. I don't think anyone else is left.
I see. What about yourselves?
We came through a gate, a time warp from the year 1000. We learned there was a gate here, and we went to Aristone. And then we found that you can come here. Then we found we came looking for a gate. But the door in the inner chamber is sealed shut, so it looks like we're out of luck.
I know you said you generally like to keep the default names in games, but have you ever renamed everyone your friend's name? I hope I'm not the only person that has done that. You know, I don't know why I've just always kept it straight, because I felt like back when these games were out, act like I was part of this one, but like when we played Final Fantasy VI, it's like that's all we talked about, like, you know, when we were kids. So like it made sense if I was talking about characters, like I would want to be the same relative names that like the same people were playing, because that's just what it was cool to talk about video games. So I always was afraid if I changed them, they wouldn't know what I was talking about. And, you know, that's the logic of like an 8-year-old. The factory to the north contains emergency power generator for this dome. I can bypass security to activate it. Shall we go there?
You do that for us?
You repaired me. Now it's my turn to be of assistance. However, the generator will produce power for only a short time. Someone must remain here to open the door as soon as power is restored to the dome. Everyone wanted to be Sabin and Suplex Train. So, true fact, I am going to KupoCon in Vancouver this year, and I am cosplaying Sabin, and I am printing out a bunch of little mini trains of that same model to pass out to people. Marl or I can stay. Who will stay behind? Luca. I'm not giving up my healer. Again, I have no idea what Robo can do yet. Oh, cure beam, huh? Okay. I said this freaking game gaslights me. You know what? Yeah, let's get rid of Marl. What games, Solandra, what games did you rename your characters? Like, was there any favorites that you did that on? Man. It's already getting old. My cursed Strahd, One Nation Under Strahd shirt's starting to fade out. Man. I can barely tell. That's right. BIT bot. Move. Override security system 00. He can dance and do lasers. I said lasers. And do lasers. Pretty efficient. In the end, he will also be the only character to be able to heavy damage on Lavos. Solandra666 says, oh man, everything when I was young, especially games where you had generic characters that were basically nameless, like Wizardry and SRPG, Final Fantasy Tactics, Shining Force, most anything. I didn't remember you could change names in Shining Force. Like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it's been like 30 years since I played those games, but like, I felt like everyone had distinct names. I remember Slate the Rat. I don't know why I remember that. I think I can remember that was Shining Force 1 or 2. Well, that's disappointing. Like, cast an Ultima on me? Wait a minute, you might be right on Shining Force, but mostly I was just talking about generic as a whole. But Slade was great. My favorite was Phoenix from 2. Okay, so Slade. That wasn't Slade. I'm going to still give myself bonus points to remember that over 30 years ago. Phoenix, man. You know, it's so crazy. I remember playing that game and having no idea what like anime was and anything like that. But that was definitely anime-inspired, driven RPGs, being a JRPG. But like, that's got to be probably my closest exposure to anything anime originally was that game. See, this is where you could have still sold me out, Solandra, and been like, or not sold me out, but just completely convinced me. And you should have, when you were asking about naming the characters after your friends. You should have been just really smug and said, yeah, I had so many friends when I was younger, I could name every single person on those Shining Force roster after my friends. Because I'm pretty sure there was like 30 characters. Hatch opened. These poison attacks are the worst. Shining Force was an awesome SRPG back in the day. Yeah, I remember being Shining Force 1 and 2, but I think the original was called Shining in the Darkness, if I'm not mistaken, but I didn't know about that until like I'd already played the first two. Maybe I had it backwards, but I felt like that was correct. There's so many oozes. Ivan ooze. Unfortunately, people only remember Fire Emblem, XCOM, and FFT these days. There's so many great SRPGs, and you're right, Shining in the Darkness was the first game, though it was a dungeon crawler. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, you know, so I've never, shocker, like I feel like I don't want to use the word fraud, but like being such acclaimed to JRPGs and doing Fabula Ultima content, never touched Fire Emblem, never played Final Fantasy Tactics, being a Final Fantasy person, never played anything from the Xenogears or Sedakin or obviously Chrono Trigger or the Chrono series. I played some Phantasy Star, but in a lot of Shining in the Darkness. For some reason, I got a hold of a Sega and played a bunch on that in my like late or like my early seminal years. But XCOM was one of my favorite games of all time on PC, but that was like original XCOM 1 and 2 when like it was like Windows 3.1. I will say this, when I did my I think spells and rituals video, I used a bunch of different clips from different games, and I took a clip from one of the Shining Force games of a spell being cast, and my friend was like, what game was that? And they're pretty inundated on JRPGs in their past too. Yeah, but I'm not. I played more Super Nintendo than I did Sega for the long, like when I played all Nintendo and Super Nintendo until I was about 12 or 13, and then I got a hold of a Sega and I played both. I also had something for when I think I was about 13 or 14 called I don't know if you guys remember this, the Sega Channel. Did you guys ever have that? Like my parents got me for that, so we utilized the hell out of that. I was about to say XCOM 2 Terror from the Deep. Yep, when games were not made for real people. You open your first run from the ship, and there's a nade. Oh, that you just appear and everyone dies. Yes. I think obtain hammer arm. Now I see why you want to go back and play old RPGs, because you're missing so many great games. I know. It's so crazy. Like I just immediately fell in love with Fabula Ultima, and when I started reading like the intro to it and all that, and I was like, I've heard of all these games names, and to see that all these games inspired Fabula Ultima, that's great. And then I started talking to more people, on my YouTube channel from the other content, And I felt like this is the exact. I never thought I was like, hey, I'm going to be a streamer one day or anything like that. That's never been my goal, but I found that doing this has been an excellent platform of meeting new people that both seem to enjoy Fabula Ultima or are interested in Fabula Ultima, and they can have relevance and relation because of my experience of playing these JRPGs that I should know about. So it's been a really nice mix of getting to enjoy these, or this so far, and meet new people and their experiences on it. And that rocket arm or hammer arm. I absolutely love every time you engage on some sort of dashboard on here and like computer pops up and Chrono just looks like he's like doop 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 and Rebo's like move IT and just starts. All systems down. Defense lasers deactivated. Oh, well, that's not convenient. Supersonic spin. Whoa. Okay, that didn't do much, but still cool. I don't like these things can cast Ultima. In case you finish the game and I'm not present, when you get to the best weapon of the game, they will also give the worst robo weapon. Keep it. It's used for the Lavos heavy damage. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Ow. But yeah, I was asking earlier, have either of you guys or anyone else in the chat, I don't know actually how many are in here right now, did you ever have access to Sega Channel? I don't know how, I mean, it could not have been just like a local thing. I knew no one else in my existence of life as a kid that had it. I had friends come over all the time because I had Sega Channel, but no one else did, which is weird because most of my other friends were, I'd say, much more financially well off than I was, and so they had like all the systems. I'm not gonna pretend I was like doing horrible or anything like that, but it's just like I had some friends that were like children of divorce who like had like every single console, including like the Neo Geo and the 3DO and like and every game known to existence. I don't have a clue what that is. Sorry, no, I'm kidding. We had no real TV. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to take a real quick break here on this. So, Sega Channel was this conceptual, I guess, I don't remember what it was. I'll have to look into it more. But is basically a cartridge that went into your Sega Genesis, right? But on the back of it, it had coax cable that went in through your cable system. And so instead of using cable TV, like into the channel, it basically redirected through the Sega into your television, and it was basically a online platform that had like up to like I think it was like 25, 30, maybe 40 Sega games for the month that you could play, and it would save locally on the device. But the problem is once the month ended, if there was any games you didn't finish, it would lose all of that. So anytime there was a RPG or something that I really wanted to play, I focused solely on that. But like there were so many games that were on there that just kind of recycled, and it was super fun. I think my parents paid like $2.99 USD for it monthly, and just that's all we did was play on that all the time. Give me 1 second. My little dog is losing their freaking mind that they're not inside here. You're hanging out with me now. I think there was a special Mega Man games in this thing. That's freaking nuts. I would have played that instead of renting so many games. Yeah, exactly. I think that was... So, like, I mean, I was a little older when this... Like, so I was probably about 11 to 13 when that came out. When I was a kid, like, my parents... Like, I would mow the lawn or do stuff, and, like, my little brother would get, like, $5. I'd get $5, maybe a little more. And we would always go to the local game stores and rent games. As soon as that came out, like, my parents didn't ever have to take us to the game stores. It was cheaper to keep that going. And yeah, I think that's probably why I have so many games of Sega in my brain, because I would have kept playing Super Nintendo stuff if otherwise didn't have that access. Obtain titanium vest. I'm assuming that's going to Robo as well. Oh, he's already got one. All right, how about Chrono? That is a significant increase for Chrono. Yeah, I'm sure someone like on YouTube or something has talked about it. Check it out sometime. It was crazy. Okay, did I just come from here? Diori, what are you doing? Nope, you cried and you scratched. You're hanging out in here now. Sorry, I'm taking a quick moment to pet my needy dog. Just came back and had to put some chicken nuggets in the air fryer for my wife. Hey, there you go. A provider. So do people like to talk about it, but Sega was so ahead of the curve with so many things. The problem was they tried to push things that when the tech wasn't there or there was not a demand for it yet. Yeah, and I mean, and they definitely tried different things too, because there wasn't just, I mean, I remember when like, I remember when the Sega 32X came out, I never bought, like, once again, like I was so in love with the Sega channel because it was financially efficient, but like, I thought the 32X was cool conceptually because, you know, it was trying to do new things and process things better, but it was still like a limited game set, and a lot of the games already existed on the Sega. And then they did the Sega CD, which was cool also, but it was another expense I never jumped into. So they tried a lot of stuff, but... Well, I need to check my phone. I'm technically on call tonight, so I got to make sure there's not anything relevance to deal with. Nope, all good. In Japan, it was good. It was just that, it's just that in America, we were behind. Man, yeah, I remember so many like changes like in game systems. Like I remember like I played the crap out of GoldenEye and stuff on N64, and then they finally like a few years later came up with that chip. Or not chip, it was like an insert in the front of the N64 for faster processing or better processing. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't really notice that much difference, but they tried to advertise it as like, oh, you can, don't kill Chrono. Oh, shit. That sucks. I wasn't paying attention. but it was supposed to process and handle like clipping and stuff a lot better, but I didn't really notice too much of it. Yeah, the RAM. Yeah, that was it, the RAM card. It's used for Donkey Kong 64. I remember they tried to advertise it to like for performance of like GoldenEye and all that, but I didn't know what was sole purpose because it was so late in its existence too when they first started to do it, or when they introduced it, at least to the US. With or without Smash was playing well, and that's all I needed. Yeah, that's another crazy thing. I didn't ever play Smash Brothers forever when that game first came out. Oh, Solandra said, same with Dreamcast. I think they had the first memory card, but you could control it outside of the system. They had built it online, whereas PlayStation you had to buy a separate adapter. Yeah, I remember the Dreamcast was the first system I ever like worked, part-time job and saved up money for and stuff. And I have an endearment for that system. It had a lot of shortcomings, but I loved some of the games they came out with on that. Also, the first time I ever played Street Fighter, not Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. One of my favorite games. Okay. You have all these things that look like buttons that I want to touch and press, and they're not doing anything. I remember one of the first games I actually got on Dreamcast was a game called Blue Stinger, and it was just kind of a grind game where you just hacked and slash and grind, but it was so badly voice acted, and if you looked at it, it was so poor to what it could have been. But I remember playing the hell out of it, and then got to the very end, and I could not beat the last boss, and then I just stopped, and then 10 years later got an emulator and tried playing again, remembering that I couldn't do that, and I saved up so much money to get more weapons, and I still could not beat that freaking boss. I've also been thinking about, I think a reason why I never really jumped in some of the JRPGs of Classic, even though I had the opportunities to, is by the time I was about 13 or 14, I was hitting the era of PC gaming. Warcraft 2 had just come out, Heroes of Might and Magic 2 came out, and I spent so much time at that time frame playing those games. I don't think I even touched the console for years. I need to figure out why. Solandra 666 says I need to figure out why Sega went downhill compared to Sony and Nintendo. I understand Atari dying, but Sega doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I feel like they kind of just was like, you know what, we've got IPs and stuff, take it, we don't really care anymore. Then Diablo 2 and StarCraft. That like I said, it was just a process. I didn't particularly play much of Diablo 2. I played the hell out of Diablo 1. But then we got into a point where in this, I always had to deal with this. I had my little brother. So when Diablo 2 came out, he got super into it, and it was almost impossible for me to ever now I see what happens if I engage it. I get dropped and have to fight all that stuff again. At least that's what it looks like. Never really played Diablo. I did play Diablo 2. I played it, I beat it, but I was not invested in the way my brother was. But like I said, we shared the same PC, so we never, like, there was just so little time to. Actually, that's probably why I got into a Dreamcast, because my brother started playing PC all the time, and I just got sick of waiting, so I got something else. Man. All right, when I get a moment here, I'm gonna take a quick break to go get another drink here. If I don't get cooked otherwise. I don't know if that Hypnowave did anything, but... Nope, didn't look like it, at least from the concept of hypnosis. No, don't die, Luca. Yeah, Chrono's level increased. I hope I can make it out of here. Solandra said, just wondering where you hit... Just wondering where you hit by the blizzard over the weekend. I live in the south of the United States. I definitely got the cold snap, but I didn't get any moisture that turned into anything. I went from stupid warm with tornadoes to a cold snap that should not have existed. How about yourself? I wasn't even aware of a blizzard, to be honest. I was so out of touch with the world last year, wow, seemed like last year. Last week, coming out of my recovery, my surgery, so... well, I mean, it's okay. I thought I translated okay what you're trying to say. Tech Gear Beam. We had trucks rolling over today in Canada. Replace my roof. It's just many parts in my backyard. Ah, that sucks. About 5 years ago, about a month from now, and 5 years ago, a month from now, I had an insane hailstorm that decimated my deck, my fence, my roof, and had to replace all of it. I see what's going on now here. All right, real quick, I'm pausing the stream. I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick. All right, I'm back. Just catch up here on the chat here real quick. Solandra said, I'm fortunate that I was able to stay out of it, but I saw in my area it hit record highs, breaking out last record from 1888. Some places got 3 feet. Ah, jeez. I mean, like I said, there's where I live, I don't have a lot of opportunity for snow. Like, it's not like unheard of. But like I got a pretty decent amount of about a month and a half ago, but where I live, if it's like even like 1/10 of an inch of ice or like 4 inches of snow, they shut down schools here. Like that's how ill prepared and the civil engineering fails us in this where I live. Oh, and I wouldn't be doing my thing here since we're always wanting to relate to our experiences of playing these games and talking about Fabula Ultima. Something to consider if you ever run dungeons, or this can be taken in when you do travel days, is don't be afraid to use the what's the word I'm looking for? There's a damage chart for non-combat based stuff. So I'm forgetting the word. I'm gonna hate that I can't remember. It's such a simple word, but circumstantial or whatever. So like you could just say if people like, you know, there was a trap that sprang. There's a chart, 4 level gauges of what is considered minor, major, or heavy damage. And you always want to consider that because in Fabula Ultima, as much as it's a JRPG, TTRPG, you're not gonna want to do combat after combat after combat after. That's just, it's a slog. Even though the combat can be fast in that game, That's not what it's about. But in this, what you can do is have situations where you have a interaction with a fight, and then just have them basically roll some attributes and see how they do, and then see how bad the damage output is in exchange of the fight. And what that does is, of course, renders some MP, maybe some hit points, whatever, or renders hit points, and then makes them have to use mind points to cast spells to heal, or maybe use inventory points, because the whole point of the explorations is to expend some of their inventory points and make people feel worthwhile. That's one of the things I think a lot of people overlook in that game sometimes, especially if they have people that are like tinkerers that like the fact they have a huge avenue of inventory points for their disposal, and they don't end up getting to use a lot of them because the GMs are not, testing them as much as they should. I'm at a point now where I think, and the reason I brought that up is because I keep going in the same places and running down all of my resources to where I need to replenish. So that's it. They can use an inventory points for a tent or magic tent, or waste all of their potions like I'm doing in this game. I feel like I should have gone down there. I didn't even do anything. I just went through the conveyor belt. Surely there's a way to get over to that chest. Bandit's bow. Okay, well I don't have Marl. Okay, that doesn't make sense. I couldn't go right, but I can get caught in that. Solandra says 1888, not 1988. That's a long record. Back on topic, that's exactly a good idea. I was just thinking about when PCs would find weak enemies that should threaten them, but not worth a fight. Yeah, and if it's gotten to a point where there's a lot of narrative and a lot of travel, like if you do a travel, like 6 travel rolls and it's just nothing. If you want to keep it fast and get to the narrative, great. If they feel like they could have a fight, don't be afraid to do an easy fight every now and then. But I try to keep the pointless easy fights out. I want them, unless there's some sort of narrative reason or mechanical thing to show off or anything like that they could learn from the game. But yeah, don't be afraid to have them do basically a group check on the scenario, or even like I said, you can just narrate saying that you are in the swampy lands and some zombies come from the marshes and try to attack you, and then basically have them do a group check of who's going to lead it, set certain DCs, and if they ascend to beyond most and they come out pretty scotch-free, great. If they don't do as well, give them minor damage, give them major damage, give them some poison effects. Maybe the zombies bit them and, now they're poisoned or something like that, or they breathe in marsh gas or something like that. Don't be afraid to be unkind in those elements, because you want to test them to a certain extent, because in combat, that's the main stage for them, for their mechanical values in combat. So they're going to shine, and they're going to spend their Fabula points more often in that than they are in trying to just survive through little dungeon crawls and stuff, unless they're just really struggling. For the record, 1988 still feels like a long time ago for me, and that was 5 years after I was born. But yes, 1888 is significantly longer. for the accomplishments of that weather. I feel like I'm keep doing this because I'm not paying attention what I'm doing, and then I just rinse and repeat. So I apologize for the lacking of entertainment and progression of the stream so far. Welcome back. I am back from eating those nuggets. 1988, that's a long time ago. I was kind of young in those days. Yeah, same here. I was pretty young. That was actually probably about the time I played Castlevania for the first time when I got a Nintendo. It was the first game I ever played. Actually, not true. I remember playing Atari as well, the 2600. I remember playing Adventure and Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I would say my first independent game I played long term was Castlevania, not too long after. I'm pretty sure I started playing in 1990, and that was Mario Brothers and Mega Man 2 on a black and white TV. Mega Man 2 was one of my games too. Like that's I could probably name 50 of my favorite video game soundtracks, but Mega Man 2 is probably in my top 5, if not budged out to my top 10. So I just can't get out there? Like, I'm confused. If I go in and I get caught, that crane gets me, but it just stops. I feel like I'm starting to waste time here, but I feel like I'm just not catching something here. These buttons interact. Salandra, LOL, my parents got a black and white TV for a wedding present. Eventually we got a color one, and they passed that on for me to my room. I had to play NES, Sega on it until I was 10. Oof. I remember the same company I'm working at now. When I first started, I started in their response center. And at the time, there was nothing really to do to entertain. I was there on Saturdays by myself from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And like, I was 20 at the time, and they had a rabbit ear gray TV with, like, you know, dials on it still. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I went and bought my first PC of like personally out of my own pocket for the first time ever, and then started playing World of Warcraft. And that's pretty much how I went through my 12-hour shifts, which, you know, was a great way for a first one of the, not I would say first jobs, but one of my first long-term investments in a job. but I saw that black white TV and I was like, nope. It's because Nintendo was breaking color TVs. That was what my granddad said. That's great. I just want to say for some of you guys that are sticking around here on a Tuesday evening, appreciate it. I wasn't too sure how many people were gonna be around. It's very interesting. I've read analytics and stuff of left laboratory, right factory. Good to know. Risk of death, deactivation of factory conveyor belt forbidden. Stopping the belt will activate the security system, which could result in loss of life. Good to know. People always said Saturdays are not like the best time to stream because that's when people are out doing stuff. But like, I mean, not that I care. I'm really playing it to when I'm available. But I was curious to see if anyone was on the weekdays. So I appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of your time. I'm at the dead beginning now. Back at this stupid factory. Still trying to figure out the point of it. There's nothing to do in this room. None of these belts are have interfaces. Oh. No. Okay. I was about to say, don't tell me I could have just gone around that. Of course, there's a barrel conveniently in the way. Oh, that's cool. Solandra666 says, in your case, I think you're either making the monsters not interesting enough or giving them too little resistances. If you take a look at the base monsters, a lot of extra damage and accuracy. Oh, I missed what Helmut said. Okay, I want to start a Fabula discussion now that I have something coming as a fiddle on first monsters to update. What do you think making monster with lower skill points use? I can't believe I missed that discussion all completely. I mean, I think you're wasting players' times if you're just making fodder monsters for them to fight. That's my opinion, Fabula Ultima, because it's not about the combat in most cases. But that's the one contradiction, I think, to this being a TTRPG, is because you do this in most of JRPGs. You go around and grind and kill a bunch of monsters and stuff. But when players are giving you your time to play, you don't want to waste their time with a bunch of meaningless low skill monsters for them to just hack and slash. Maybe every now and then to make them feel cool or something, but that shouldn't be part of the adventure. That's why I was talking about using damage charts that are more of a narrative place. But I mean, at the same time, that's up to you. If your players like doing that, sure. But my players don't. My players would have quit Fabula Ultima a long time ago if I was just throwing a bunch of small little monsters and stuff at them that were just easy to annihilate. And speaking of monsters, officially tomorrow I'm releasing my final villain video from the core rulebook series. It'll be released at 6 p.m. Central Time. I promised after people wanted horticulture to be my champion, I promised I would do a villain humanoid because other people wanted something different. I'm assuming when people invented or did humanoid, they probably thought I was gonna make like some cool like super archmage or something like that. I didn't do that. I made a ridiculous character because that's what I do. And the crazy thing is, it's like I feel almost guilty like advertising that it's a villain. The villain is more interesting on the narrative side than the mechanical side. They have those annoying Ultima points, but I actually do need to. That's the one thing I'm interested to look into the bestiary to see if they add more things with the Ultima points with the other monster setups, because all the Ultima points really do is give them the ability to be annoying and more challenging to a certain extent. There's not a lot of mechanical philosophy into it. Now, if you make a great enough villain that people hate so much they want to kill him, and you use the Ultima point to escape, I think that's one of the best things in the game. Which actually brings me up to another topic I've talked to other people about. People ask, what do they think? What do I think about if someone uses an Ultima point, or a villain uses an Ultima point to lead, someone using a Fabula point to stop it? And the theory on Fabula Ultima is you don't use your Fabula points to stop a truth, or stop whether it's a narrative, or I would say that you can't really do things mechanical exactly with Fabula points, but the whole point is to continue the story, make things happen, promote the story, push the story, or continue with your player successes. But the fact that I think if a villain spends an Ultima point, since they are finite, I feel like that is enough reason to negate a Fabula point ever holding a control over that. Of course, that's anyone else's table. They can do what they want. There's nothing in the rulebook that says they can't. But I personally, Fabula points are so easy to obtain, I would feel that it's silly for a player's Fabula point to hold precedence over an Ultima point. G-Hum says, I'm still wondering about all this villain stuff. I really like the meanwhile kinda scene. I'm not translating that well. Yeah, villain, but I was wondering if I could also just use it for special. Oh, the villain scenes? Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to translate what you typed out there, G-Helmet. But if I'm reading this right, if you're saying if I could do just for special NPC presence, absolutely. Yeah, use scene. It's their GM scenes, not villain scenes. Just villain scenes are the place that see the plot starting. I plan on using a GM scene soon to reveal something that is 100% narrative in favor of the players that isn't going to be villainous. Solander says, "Yep, you can't use a Fabula point to change an established fact." Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not doing a great job of playing both. Tried to talk about this and playing Chrono Trigger. I have literally been going up the same conveyor belts and ladders and elevators this entire time. On top of that, I would say the GM should be able to say no to a change if they have a really good reason. Yeah, I'm with that. It still says ultimately the GM holds precedence on Fabula point expenditures. Most of the time I'm cool with it, but like it just depends. Most of the time my players are pretty cool with what they're doing with it. The ones that are rough on me is when someone gets an opportunity and they choose to unmask or plot twist, and those are, as a GM, those have been the most challenging but also the most fun to try to kind of work around when they do that. And I'm glad the guy that's playing my Arcanist is so new to TTRPGs. He kind of is reserved on some of his actions because he's got an Arcanist and he's got the Arcana of Knowledge, or the Tomb of Knowledge, whatever. But where when he dismisses it, he can ask a question, and I, as a GM, have to give truth to it. And I was like, that's insane. that was the first time that happened to me. I'm like, okay, well, now I understand where I stand in this game as a GM, and all of my story plot points are not to belong to me, it's to belong to the group. Guys, I'm glad the conversation on Fabula Ultima and games are good, because my progression is not. I came from here. Oh, I'm going backwards. That's not correct. Oh, I can go even further down? Dang it. But I feel like the saving point is an excellent indicator of I was going the right direction. You do you, sir. So, forgive me, Salandra. I don't recall off the top of my head if I've asked you this. Are you running games or are you playing games? Because you're talking with confidence like you've ran Fabula Ultima. Do you play it at all? Wow, that should have been really easy to find. Come on, IT Robo. Zabi door lock system operational. Please enter passcode. Bing bong. I'm assuming this is like the sound thing I have to do. Wow, I couldn't figure it at all hit the next one. Although narratively, it would make sense for my Arcanist to get that for his first summon. It was Arcane Library. It was an Arcane Library obsessed with getting all knowledge. I just didn't want him getting it that early. Yeah. So I don't know if I remember me talking about this. So my current group is 2 forever DMs of 5e, and they're so used to 5e style that Fabula Ultima is a little bit, it took a while to digest, and it took me a little bit to digest too. The problem is I was looking for an escape from 5e. They are still adhered to it to a certain extent. So there was a lot of, I wouldn't say pushback, but just struggle of learning the process of Fabula Ultima to a certain extent. I mean, that's not true. Actually, one of them was really all in, but just sometimes there was little stopping points. The person being the new player and not really understanding TTRPGs to that extent of what they could do with it, their lack of experience and their ability to just kind of question why and do what they thought would make sense versus trying to figure out mechanical value and everything, really opened the gates of Fabula Ultima to our group. And I think they started to see more of, they were just like, whoa, you can just do that? And I'm like, yep. And they're like, that's insane. Hey, look, it sounds like I went in some progression somewhere. Granted, Robo's not happy. Emergency, the security system has gone haywire. We must escape immediately. Uh-oh, but I want to go this way. What's the point? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought I was gonna have a Palm and Porum moment. Hurry, before it's too late. Oh, no, Robo! Wait, you coming, bro? Okay. Wow, I never used to say bro. I'm co-GMing because I've been forever GM for about 10 years, but one of my players really likes FU, so he wants to run it. So we're both running in the same world. So I'm both GM and player. Hey, that's great. I think that's a good game to That's an interesting approach, going co-op GM in a game where I feel like the GM doesn't, I mean, other than prep and like having monster preps and stuff, I don't feel like I have to do a lot. Like, and maybe it's an approach for everyone differently. Like my last 2 sessions, granted one of them was because I just was recovering. We literally put out the map of our world, and I said, everyone come up with something random about this map. Doesn't have to have a full backstory. And we just did stuff. And now the map has so much more character and stuff, and it allows me or them to later inject on it, instead of always wondering what they're going to come out the ready with. It's nice that you can have a place to play as a player while still helping him take your place. Yeah, absolutely. Uh-oh. Blue Robos. Wait, these are my friends. R64Y, R67Y, R69Y. It's good to see you again. No! What are you doing? R6Y, you are defective. You are not one of us. Pardon? Oh, no, not sad music to a robot. I am malfunctioning. Affirmative. A defect. I am a defect. R69Y. Have you forgotten how to assign task? All intruders must be eliminated. That was not the reason for my creation. You disgrace our series. You must be destroyed. Wow. Wow. Some fucking gang mentality. So I don't really have a moment to compare this to Fabula Ultima. I mean, this is just a TTRPG trope. Really make your neutral, your sentient characters that are just trying to discover things, really bully them, and your players will love them. Please stop, please. Why am I about to cry? Because the Robo Crips are beating up the Robo Blood. Wow. Robo! Actually, I should have been more emotional. Now we shall eliminate the intruders.
No. I think the intruders will eliminate you.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Why can't I do Cyclone? There we go. My game is heavily focused on exploration and mystery. For our map, we're on a newly discovered continent. I had all 4 PCs grab markers and draw stuff on posters on a rough ride for me to expand on. Cool, cool. I like that approach. See, I'm the one thing I have not done in my Fabula Ultima game is travel yet. Like, that's actually not true, but everything, I think I've said this in my last stream, everything has been at the convenience of airship travel within a one-day travel location because of just the way our story started from the press start. But I have pretty much long narrative eradicated airship fleets and stuff, and basically made airship flying very limited going forward for a little while. So it's going to have to be much more encouraged for foot travel, or at least wagon travel, or whatever vehicular travel. That's another thing. If you haven't looked at it, there's an awesome little bit in the chapter of the core rulebook that talks about renting services and buying services as far as flight and all that. Why, I have a feeling that's going to kill me. Close. Robo!
I see him. He got stuck. They really thrashed him. I'm not sure I can fix this. Let's get him back to Protodome for now.
So defective. Not even good enough to be trash. Can't even be thrown away correctly. Can you fix me?
No, try and talk.
Fucking Marl's just sleeping. You are trying to change the world.
I don't know how far we'll get, but that's the plan. Anyway, Robo, what do you want to do after I finish repairing you?
What do I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, you were stuck here all this time. There must be a lot of things you want to do, right?
No one has ever asked me that before, Luca. Wow. Good morning. Should I change the voice now that he's improved? Should I be like, good morning? No, we'll keep with the robot. Good morning.
Robo, thank goodness you're all right. Luca, you're incredible. Well, let's hope I never have to do that again.
Luca, I have arrived at an answer to your question. I want to go with you.
Really? You mean it?
There is nothing left for me here. I want to help you. Together, we might be able to give the life on this planet a chance. There you go. There's the Squaresoft everyone nod at the same time.
Then let's go. The gate's right through there. Here we go.
Solander says, I agree. We are splitting it slightly though, in that I'm focusing on the exploration while he's focusing on our only city. So whenever we go back there, his storyline takes us. That's fun. That's super cool. I might ask if my players are ever interested in it. Interestingly enough, like I said, one of my players that is like a long time forever GM for 5e, I asked it, he made a comment. He was like, I don't think I'd ever want to run Fabula Ultima. And I think it's because he's so, I don't want to use the word afraid, but the task of not having control to the level of what is asked of you to let go, I think is a little intimidating to him. I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything. I just get the sense of that. Ooh, I really like this aesthetic here. This like noir. What's these little shiny things? HP and, oh, okay, cool. Same thing over here. Give me 1 second here. Didn't even eat dinner tonight, and I just realized it's getting close to almost 9 p.m. I gotta get some food on the way or something. I'm too lazy to cook tonight. I wish I could do that kind of stuff with my friends. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain. I think anyone who's playably GM'd can agree that there's a certain. I am incredibly lucky to run across the people, even though I don't ever get to play with them in person. I have befriended 2 other people that don't love GM. I don't know if love GMing, but they're very experienced into it, and they don't mind taking the reins of it. I haven't done any collaborative GMing, but I'm glad that I have enough where I can pass it forward. I find myself so intertwined in GMing, I struggle to be a player. Not because I'm like, oh, those are monsters, I know what to do with those or anything like that. I am so used to carrying the pace of the game that I feel like I jump into main character syndrome or anything like that because I don't want to take the spotlight away from other people. I try to help redirect it, but sometimes I do it with the ridiculous of my characters when I play. So at times I feel like I could be a little too much. So I always just refrain from playing a lot of times and just keep play GMing instead. Sorry, I'm trying to still order food. I'm sorry for this lack of engaging streaming here at the moment. I can hit pause if you guys would like, but I figured interaction while I did this would be a little more than my pause screen. All right. All right. Back to the game. The benefit of having a consistent group. While it is cool and fun to have new people to play with often, it's a very different dynamic with you having a single group. Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I went to Gen Con 2023. It was my first con experience. It was my first I had mixed situations in that. I played Daggerheart for the first time when it was in super alpha mode, and the GM didn't really seem to know the core value of it. It was a little hard for them to explain. And then I was with me and my 4 other friends that we all met together for the first time. They're all my online people, met for the first time to play. And then this fucking guy that just had I think in his brain, a spotlight on himself everywhere he went, joined our group. And some of my friends were, they're like, oh, new players, let's get along and let's collaborate. Like, I was like, this guy is driving me nuts. And I really didn't enjoy that. But then we played Candela Obscura, just this group, my group I'm familiar with, and had a blast, and had so much of a blast. The GM that we didn't know who was running for us, we ended up befriending, and I've tried to get him in some of my games since then. So it's crazy how just the right people, the right moments can bring in good moments and not so great moments. Ah, poor drifters! Drifters, where are we? It's not a question of where, my friends, but so much as when. This is the end of time. Travelers lost in time, time flow turns up here. Much like driftwood on a beach, might I ask where you're from? We are from 1000 AD. I come from the year 2300 AD. When 4 or more entities of varying origins enter a temporal rift together, the torsion exerted on time's flow pushes them to the point of least resistance. Here,
There have been a number of folks turning up here unattended recently, like yourselves. I fear something having a powerful effect on the very fabric of time. Which means this would be the safest if one of us stayed here. Solander666 says, all of us tend to get on the same wavelength, so we understand what we all like or don't like, our GM styles, etc. Well, that's the other thing. Like when I played the Candela Obscura, like I'm known. I mean, if you haven't can tell from my videos, like when I make the monsters, I make stupid stuff and like silly stuff. I like making silly stuff. I can be dark. I run Cursed Strahd all the time and do that stuff. But I think there's a place for humor. But I wanted to play Candela Obscura with this like dark noir type of style, like a lot of my players that I didn't never really get to play with. And I was like an old man that was like this a scholar or something like that, and like I had a PhD and all that stuff. And then one of my friends that I've never really played with, she was like the assistant, like she was like playing the nerdy teacher's pet type assistant, trying to get like clout with me. And we were waiting for all this dark stuff to happen, and it was, but then all of a sudden, just like a snap of a finger, we were trying to get around some guards and stuff to investigate something horrible happening, and we were doing so miserable on the roll. I just pulled a Pierce Hawthorne from Community. I don't know if you know who that is. And I just started faking a heart attack and being like, oh no, I think I need my pills, trying to get the guards to come over. And then she just went with it. And she was like, oh, no, we need to get you back to the home. You're being spry again. And like, it just went out the window. I don't know if we're capable of having a serious game. We wanted it, but we didn't play it to that. So it's interesting just how things gravitate. Here, all alone? It's a bleak place, isn't it? But not to worry, for all its destination, it's well connected. There are roads here to any time you could ever wish to visit. Also, to get that kind of situation, you have to have multiple people want to GM at the same time, which normally isn't the case. Or if they do, they want to do completely different things. Yeah, and that's where I kind of stand. It's like I found my own pilgrimage trying to get away from 5e and Pathfinder. Not that I have anything against Pathfinder, but Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro backing it do not deserve anyone's money, time, or effort for the way they've treated their customer base the last 5-6 years. And I will greatly find new experiences where others don't really care. My group, they're comfortable with 5e. They're about learning new games, but they don't ever really gravitate away from 5e as the core game they want to learn. They don't want to learn a new game to run. And then the other one really likes Daggerheart, and Daggerheart, I'm meh on. Like, I don't hate it, but it doesn't scratch my itch. But we all want to run different things. But I end up being the one that runs most of the games because I run 5e and Fabula Ultima. Should you so desire, you can call upon your friends at any time, but you can never travel in groups of more than 3. One of us must remain. Who'll be Chrono? Man, can I just get rid of Chrono? Take the 3 interesting characters? Ooh, man, a decision to make. Marl is incredibly annoying. I have learned to love sentient Robo, and Luca needs to take care of Robo, but man. I'm gonna get rid of Marl. You could CT plus, but in the original game, you need to do something special to. I see. I didn't really care. I just making more of a comment that I'm still intrigued with this narrative of an RPG, and the main character has 0 dialogue other than like reactionary acknowledgement. Don't leave me here for too long, Chrono.
For the record, lady, you didn't defend me well enough throughout the entire trial. I was blamed for you running into me. I went to try to get your locket, and I was accused of stealing it and not being in your favor. I was accused of stealing from the old man, and all you did was call me fat. I'm starting to film reasons why I even want her in my group. Just saying. Well, that is the way of things. Should you desire to switch party members, you can do so via the main menu whenever you wish.
How do we get back our own time?
I've got a punch healer. Yeah, she does have the AoE heal with Chrono. Once you've been through the gate, you can use it to return here whenever you wish. Step back into the light and press A once more, and you'll return to the gate. But beware, the gate connected to that bucket. Okay. Fine. Yeah, you make a good point. Sorry, Robo. I'm bringing in the annoying one that fat shames me. Can't Chrono and Robo get helium? I mean, I'd assume that. I mean, it's one of those things where. I mean, I know you're not asking me. I'd be surprised if there wasn't an extra option in that. But I also do like JRPGs where everyone has kind of their independent values and combo add-ons. That's my biggest push off of Final Fantasies. People are like. Of more contemporary Final Fantasy talking about how they don't like the retro games, they don't like turn-based, it's boring. I'm like, you know what, I mean, I'm not going to push that narrative off of you, but the reason why I don't like the newer contemporary games is none of the characters matter. Like, they don't have any uniqueness to them like the old retro ones did, at least in my experiences. Like, I liked the core mechanics of how 4 worked and 6 worked, and everyone. Now granted, in 6 it got a little ridiculous because everyone could get espers and get all the same spells and stuff, but even when it returned back to 9, I felt like having Freya the Dragoon had its own uses and all that. To be honest, I'm always dropping Luca. Can't do it, man. Luca's my gal. Nerd women forever, man. If you go back to switch characters, it'll actually show you what combos you can do. I just noticed that. You'll have the time of your life when you play Not true. I hated Expedition 33. The game's fine. The gameplay is fine. I actually really love the gameplay. The most boring cast of characters I've ever experienced outside of Final Fantasy 12. I know I'll probably take flack from that, but I played probably about 15 to 20 hours, and I could not be less involved in the characters of Expedition 33. Actually, it's not true. Sea of Stars characters were pretty lame as well, outside of Garl. Just firmly see. Okay, so do I need to go through the bucket? I thought you said stay away from the bucket. I kind of find their story was really good. I'm not trying, and for the record, I'm not ever trying to be controversial and tell people they're wrong and that stuff. If you experience it, that's great. But I feel like the things that were tear wrenching for people really early in the beginning, I was just like, this was so predictable, it didn't hit me. And maybe that's just the way I'm built. I don't know, but I am going to give it another chance. I will also admit I was probably not in the best mental state and emotional state at the time of trying it, and I was just not happy with things a lot, so that may have contributed too. But at the same time, though, it did not give me an emotional pull that so many else experienced. Yeah, Sea of Stars. I'm still going to try to finish it, but Sea of Stars really did not do me any favors. I played a bunch of it while I was recovering, and I'm getting close to it, I think. But I've read all of that stuff, and I'm still not conceptually figuring out where I need to go. You needn't be such a rush. Before you go, have a look past the door behind me, okay? I tried. Oh, I had to talk to you first. What is that? What are you looking at? Me? I'm Specchio, the Master of War. I watch all the kinds of battles from here. How do I look to you? Weak. I see. How I look depends on how strong you are. If you're strong, I look strong. If you're weak, I look weak. Oh, you got it in you, don't you? That must be why an old guy lets you get through. See, a long time before you were born, there was a kingdom where magic flourished. Everyone there could use it. But the people abused their powers and ended up destroying the place. After that, there wasn't anyone left who could use magic. Well, except in fiends, of course. But you have it. That inner strength, I mean. Magic needs power of the heart. That's where it flows from. I am out. Got to drive 2 hours tomorrow. I need sleep and have a good input. Thank you. I'm going to probably wrap up here soon. I originally put 9:30, but I think it's a good stopping point here after I get magic. Have a good night. You with the pug hairdo. You've got light. The gal with the ponytail has the power of water. That girl with the goofy glasses. Glasses are hot. Her power is fire. With that voice in his personnel, I'm kind of getting King Kai vibes from Dragon Ball Z. I don't know why that voice came up. He just looked goofy as hell, and I decided to go something different than what I've been doing. By the way, it's not just magic everything is made up for those 4 elements. All right, starting from the door, circle clockwise along the walls of my room 3 times and say, I want to use magic, over and over in your head. Don't lose track now, 3 times. I don't want you churning yourselves into butter. All right, 1. I want to learn magic. 2. I want to learn magic. 3. I want to learn magic. No cheating, I've got my, okay. Dude, from the clockwise. Clockwise, I did counterclockwise. All right. 1. I want to learn magic. 2. I want to learn magic. 3. I want to learn magic. Oh my god. Oh, I'm guessing I'm gonna have to. I think I'm cutting in too early. It's me using that stupid analog stick. There we go. Well done. Ipso facto, minimo, magico. Magic. Chrono learned to use magic. Marl learned to use magic. Whoa. Luca learned to use magic. So, all fortified with magic. Want to try it out? All right. Okay. I'm assuming it's not attack, but... it's under tech. Okay, that makes sense now. Bye, Chrono. Bye, Marl. Damn. I win. You make any new friends, you bring them to see me, you hear? I like you guys. All right, does that mean I go bring... Hey. Well, it seems I was right. People who lived long ago all enjoyed such powers, you know.
Yes, long, long ago. Well, I know you must be eager to finish this thing and seem so intent on doing. But why not first pay a visit back to your own era? Haste makes waste, as they say, and you'll find that even truer here. Come and see me whenever you have the need. Think of me as your guide on time's road.
All right, I'm gonna get Robo real quick. And then get his, I'm assuming get magic for him too.
What's with this big clunky thing? Sorry, buddy. Well, you aren't alive. You've got great...
Okay, whatever.
For what it's worth, it's just you aren't descended from ancient magic users, so you're never going to be able to cast spells.
Oh, that was a little too prospectory. I got mixed up from my old man and him. All right. Well, just a little early for my original prospected time of calling it. I think, given the fact that I drudged through the factory and got to a point where I've ascended to magic, is a good stopping point for the next time. Slandra, I appreciate you sticking around the entire time and really giving me some insights on your experience with Fabula Ultima and helping out G Helmet a bit with recommendations. That's why I like doing this, and I'm hoping come Saturday we will see a lot more again. So I appreciate you being on, and we'll, if you're around, feel free to come see me on around 7 p.m. Central Saturday. So till then, you have a good evening.